When a woman is deeply attracted to a man, one of the first things that changes, often without her even realizing it, is the nature of her attention. It becomes intentional, selective, directed. You see, human attention is one of the most valuable currencies in any interaction. And for women, especially those emotionally attuned or protective of their inner world, giving focused attention is not casual. It's intimate. It's revealing. This is why, when a woman is truly drawn to you, she starts to notice the little things. The slight shift in your tone when you're stressed, the way you fix your collar without thinking, the song you once mentioned in passing. It's not just that she remembers, it's that she registers. You stop being part of the background noise and become a focal point in her mental space. It's no longer about what you say, but how you say it when you say it, and even what you don't say, and it doesn't stop in on one settings. Even in group environments, her attention will find its way back to you. She might scan the room, but her eyes linger longer when they land on you. She listens more intently when you speak. She reacts differently to your presence, even if subtly. This isn't the kind of attention that demands to be seen. In fact, it often hides in plain sight. But if you're observant, you'll feel it. You'll feel the weight of her gaze, the pull of her energy, the way her laughter feels warmer when it's in response to something you said. Now, psychologically speaking, this kind of selective attention is a sign of prioritization. When our brains are drawn to someone, they start filtering out irrelevant stimuli. The human mind naturally tunes out noise to focus on what it deems most important. So when a woman becomes more attuned to your nuances, what she's really saying without saying it is, you matter here, you occupy cognitive space, you're not just a passing thought, you're becoming part of her inner narrative. But here's the thing, this attention is fragile. If it's met with disinterest or taken for granted, it retreats. If it's nurtured, it deepens into emotional investment. So the question becomes, are you noticing her noticing you? Because a woman's attention isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it observes from the sidelines, waiting to be met halfway. So if you feel her tuning into your rhythm, if her gaze catches yours just a moment too long, or if she remembers the details others forget, don't overlook it. That's not coincidence, that's intention, and intention is the soil in which attraction begins to grow roots. If you learn to recognize her attention as the signal it truly is, you'll no longer be guessing whether she's into you. You'll be responding from awareness, not confusion, and that changes everything. Because in a world full of distraction, the person who chooses to pay attention to you on purpose is showing you the purest form of quiet desire. Another subtle, but profoundly revealing, sign that a woman is deeply attracted to you is how her body language begins to betray what her words might still be hiding. Attraction is an emotion before it ever becomes a declaration, and emotions, by their very nature, bypass filters. They leak out through physical cues, those fleeting, unconscious gestures that are almost impossible to fake. Let's start with proximity. When a woman is drawn to you, she instinctively wants to be closer. Even if she doesn't touch you, her body shifts, her torso or feet point in your direction, even when she's speaking to someone else. If you're in a group, she often finds ways to sit near you or align herself beside you. This isn't just social politeness, this is subconscious alignment. Psychologists call it mirroring. She starts to reflect your posture, your pace, your gestures. It's the body's silent way of saying, I feel connected to you. Then there's touch, not the obvious kind, but the subtle, playful, exploratory kind. A light brush on the arm, a quick tap when she laughs. Straightening something on your shirt that doesn't really need adjusting. These moments are rarely accidental. They're safe experiments, small tests to gauge how you respond, to see if there's emotional room for her presence to be felt, not just heard. And don't underestimate the eyes. Prolonged eye contact, when it feels like she's looking through you, not just at you, is one of the most intense indicators of attraction. The eyes are an emotional barometer. If she's holding your gaze just a second too long, or if her pupils dilate slightly when she sees you, those are not random occurrences. The body reacts before the brain can rationalize it. In essence, her eyes will speak what her mouth won't dare say. Now, all of this is important because we live in a world that's increasingly verbal. We wait for someone to say it before we believe it, but desire often precedes language. It lives in the nervous system, in instinct, in the quiet choreography of movement and gaze. So if you're only listening with your ears, you're missing half the conversation. A woman may never say, "I want you," out loud, but her body will whisper it repeatedly in gestures so honest they can't be rehearsed. Recognizing this language doesn't make you manipulative. It makes you emotionally literate. It shows maturity, because anyone can react to words, but it takes depth to respond to what isn't said, to honor the unspoken and understand the unexpressed. So here's the truth. If her body leans in while her words remain guarded, believe her posture, not her politeness, because when desire can't find words, it finds a way. And once you learn to read that, you'll never again question who's truly drawn to you. The body never lies. Learn its language, and you'll never be left in emotional confusion again. When a woman is deeply attracted to you, one of the most compelling signs, yet often overlooked, is how she invests in shared vulnerability. This doesn't always show up in grand confessions or overt emotional declarations. More often, it reveals itself in the small, intimate ways she starts letting you in. You'll notice that her walls soften, not all at once, but gradually, like she's testing the waters to see if her emotional safety will be respected. And here's where things get interesting. Attraction that evolves into emotional intimacy is never just physical, it's psychological. It's about resonance. A woman who is drawn to you on a deep level will begin to open up in ways she wouldn't with others. She'll share stories that carry emotional weight, her past fears, her future dreams. Things that left a mark. Why? Because when a woman is truly attracted to you, she doesn't just want you to see her body. She wants you to understand her mind. She begins asking more thoughtful questions, not just to fill silence, but to build connection. And when she listens, it's intentional. She remembers details. Things you mentioned in passing suddenly reappear in later conversations. That's not a coincidence. It's emotional bookmarking. She's storing information because she cares. And more importantly, because she sees you as someone worth being emotionally available to. This vulnerability is powerful because it's a risk, and risks are not taken lightly, especially by a woman who values her own emotional world. She's giving you access not because she's needy, but because she senses alignment. She feels seen, heard, and safe, and that's what turns attraction into something real, something rooted. Too many men miss this. They focus only on surface cues, flirtation, attention, playfulness, and completely overlook the depth of what it means when a woman chooses to be emotionally naked. That kind of trust is not an invitation to control. It's an opportunity to honor, and how you handle that trust will determine whether the attraction fades or flourishes. So pay attention to the way she shares. Look beneath the words for the emotion behind them. Is she letting you glimpse parts of herself that feel unfinished or unguarded? If yes, that's not just a sign of attraction. It's a gesture of emotional courage. A woman who chooses to be vulnerable with you is telling you, without ever saying it, that she sees you as worth the risk. Don't take that lightly, because when a woman invites you into her inner world, she's not just showing interest, she's offering trust. And what you do with that trust will define everything. Another revealing sign that a woman is deeply attracted to you, one that often escapes the radar of surface-level observation, is her unspoken desire to impress you. And no, this isn't about vanity or superficial presentation. It's about effort, intentional, thoughtful, often subtle changes she makes in how she shows up when you're around. When attraction is deep, it fuels a certain kind of psychological drive. A woman begins to curate herself, not to pretend or perform, but to present the version of herself she most wants you to see. That could mean she pays more attention to her appearance, not in an obvious, showy way, but in a manner that's nuanced and meaningful to her. A change in hairstyle, more intentional fashion choices, the way she carries herself, all can be quiet signals of, I care what you think because you matter. Now, on a psychological level, this isn't just about aesthetics. It's rooted in evolutionary behavior. We, as humans, are wired to attract and connect through mirroring and mutual elevation. When a woman is drawn to a man, she often starts aligning herself with what she believes he values. That might mean she brings up topics she knows you're passionate about, subtly shifts her schedule to spend more time with you, or even starts adopting similar habits or routines. These aren't coincidences. They are expressions of alignment and subconscious desire to build compatibility. But here's the twist. She's not doing this to manipulate or to play games. She's doing this because she wants to be seen by you, not just noticed. She wants to match your energy, to step into your world in a way that feels meaningful. And that effort is something most men overlook. They think she's just being nice, or she's naturally like that. But they miss the intention behind the behavior. If you pay close attention, you'll realize how intentional her actions are. The timing of her messages, the way she remembers things you care about, the way she lights up when you compliment her, not because she needs validation, but because your opinion carries weight. That's how you know this isn't surface-level attraction. It's emotional investment, and emotional investment always leaves clues. Understanding this point requires maturity. It demands that you see beyond the immediate, that you read the room not with ego, but with empathy. Because a woman who is putting effort into impressing you isn't just trying to win your attention. She's trying to earn your presence, and that's a very different kind of pursuit. So, the next time you see a woman subtly adjusting herself in your presence, don't just admire the surface. Respect the effort, because where there's intentional effort, there's meaningful interest, and meaningful interest, that's rare, honor it. One of the most overlooked yet powerful signs that a woman is deeply attracted to you is how she responds to your emotional state. Not just your words, not just your physical presence, but your energy, your moods, your silences, your shifts. When a woman feels a genuine pull toward a man, she becomes attuned to the undercurrents of his emotional world, even when he doesn't explicitly express what he's feeling. This kind of connection isn't born from casual flirtation or passing interest. It comes from a space of emotional investment, where her focus moves beyond herself and into you. She starts noticing when your energy is off, when your voice lacks its usual certainty, when your text lacks its typical rhythm, and even if you haven't said a word, she's the one who gently checks in, subtly probing with questions like, "Are you okay?" or "You've been quiet today." Attraction, when it runs deep, seeks not only the man's attention, but also his inner world. A woman who is truly drawn to you will want to understand what moves you, what breaks you, what excites you. She becomes more than a passive observer. She becomes an emotional participant, and that's rare, because many people interact with others only at the surface level, but very few are willing to enter into another's emotional space with presence, patience, and curiosity. There's also something else happening here. When a woman starts mirroring your emotional energy or adjusting her tone to match yours, she's unconsciously seeking harmony. It's a biological and psychological response. Just like how we naturally synchronize our steps when we walk beside someone we feel close to, a woman who's drawn to you wants to emotionally sync with you. She wants to be where you are, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Now, this doesn't mean she'll always have the perfect response or know exactly what to say, but her desire to respond, to be there, to witness you fully, that's the sign. That's the moment you should pause and ask yourself, why is she paying this much attention? Because people don't tune into others this deeply without emotional motivation, without care, without attraction that transcends physical interest. So, if you notice her asking how you really feel, remembering the little things you said in passing, or responding to your emotional highs and lows as if they were her own, it's not just empathy, it's not just kindness. It's a sign that, on some level, she's already emotionally connected to you, and that connection, that desire to share your inner world, even when it's messy or unspoken, that's not ordinary. Pay attention to the woman who responds to your silence, not just your words. Because the one who hears you when you haven't spoken is the one who feels you the deepest. And when someone feels you that deeply, that's never by accident. There's something incredibly telling about a woman's gaze when she's deeply attracted to a man, especially when she lingers just a second too long, or looks at you when she thinks you're not watching. Eye contact is one of the most primal and unfiltered ways humans communicate attraction. But in the case of deep attraction, it's not just about looking at you, it's about looking into you. A woman who's emotionally pulled toward you will often struggle to hide it in her eyes. Her glance becomes more than observation. It becomes a form of emotional expression. When she holds your gaze, even momentarily, and you feel that quiet tension, that pause, that softness, she's telling you something. Without speaking, she may quickly look away. She may blink more than usual. She may even fidget or smile nervously. But make no mistake, what's happening, there is an internal conflict between desire and control. You see, when a woman is truly drawn to a man but isn't quite ready to show it fully, her body language will often betray her thoughts. It's not intentional, it's instinctual. She may try to remain composed, even disinterested on the surface. But her eyes, those are windows she hasn't yet learned to close. And in that space between looking at you and looking away, there's a story being written in real time. A story of fear, excitement, uncertainty, and hope. Now, let's go deeper. The psychology of attraction tells us that people tend to gaze longer at things or people they desire. But when fear is involved, fear of vulnerability, of rejection, of misreading signals, that gaze becomes cautious. It flickers, it dances, it reveals and retracts all at once, and if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. You'll write it off as coincidence, but what it really is resistance wrapped in interest. A woman may not come out and confess her feelings directly, especially if she doesn't feel emotionally safe yet. But if her eyes search for you in a room full of people, or linger on you just a second longer than what's considered casual, that's not by accident. That's emotional gravity doing its work. That's the subconscious trying to make its intentions known, despite her best efforts to contain them. And often, it's these subtle, almost imperceptible moments that reveal the most about what's real. So, don't underestimate the power of her silent gaze. Don't ignore the moments where her eyes hesitate on yours, because when a woman looks at you like she sees something worth staying for, but isn't ready to reach for, it means something. And it's worth noticing, sometimes the loudest confessions aren't made through words. They're made through eyes that say, I see you, I want you, but I'm scared you don't see me the same way.